This week we visit the Valley of the Temples. Absolutely the one place in Sicily you have got to go. If you visit this beautiful island, go here. Amazing. With the lockdown over and us able to travel, Dean and Linda, Cindy and I decided to get a hire car.
On a road trip, Oz.
The first place that we wanted to go was the Valley of the Temples. Now, we'd heard a lot about this place, but with the virus and people not travelling, the place was empty. It's 1,300 hectares of temples and ruins. We were up early and drove a few miles to Agrigento. There was hardly anyone there. We are now close to the southeast gate of the Greek city. There are a few visible remains of Gate 3. The original construction from the 6th century BC has been damaged by a landslide, involving part of the ridge affected by the numerous alterations conducted and for various reasons. That was my best David Attenborough.
Really?
Yeah, you want to hear me worst? They must have had a lot of grapes to press to use those, mustn't they?
Well, that carry them all the way up here as well. Unless there was grapevines near us. I suppose it could be.
Oh look, there's fossilised fossils in here.
There's what?
Seashells. Is
Seashells?
that a seashell? Look.
Oh yeah.
And there. And there. And there.
So this would have been, at some time, this slab of rock was at the bottom of the sea. It's sedimentary deposits of shells.
In Sicily were about 12 kilometers long. From the beginning, their layout has always exploited the natural features of the site to enhance its defensive potential. The first stage of construction dates back to the middle and end of the 6th century BC. The bedrock was used in numerous stretches of the walls, which run straight for most of their length. After having been roughly hewed, the bedrock was incorporated into the rows of rectangular-shaped blocks of calcarenate. The side facing the sea was fortified before the others because this was the most easily assailable slope of the hill. For the same reason, it was soon decided to also build a series of defense towers. After the conquest of the city by the Carthaginians in 406 BC, the inhabitants of Akragas were forbidden to rebuild the walls. Only in 300 by Syracuse, was at once again given the right to protect itself with a fortified enclosure. At this time, various stretches of the old walls were restored or rebuilt using the original building technique. New fortifications were also added, such as the watchtowers.
Oh look, it says on that portico, David was here. Icaro. I'm assuming that's Icarus. Icaro. Dean's going for a wee behind that ancient tree. Smile. What is it, Dean?
It's a tomb and basically a garden. So I imagine these are the tomb things here, look. Villa Oria. garden with innumerable Mediterranean plants together with some exotic species. Underground burial chambers, 5th century AD, so they're nearly brand new.
The gardens and the house were spectacular and kept in fantastic condition. Really, really pretty. Unfortunately the guys were using a weed whacker and a leaf blower, so I had to turn the sound down a little bit, but you can see it's incredibly well maintained. This place is just absolutely, well, awesome.
Just need to cross the road.
Here, Alexander Hardcastle, didn't he do 19?
Paul Hardcastle.
Oh, that was Paul Hardcastle.
12 labours. The temple, made of calcarenite, is the oldest among those guarding the walls of Acragas. It was built around 510 BC in the archaic Doric style, as evidenced by some of its architectural features. Firstly, its proportions. The building does not present the usual 13 columns on each of the long sides, as in the temples of the classical period, but 15. Furthermore, since there are 6 columns on the short sides, the ratio of width to length appears unbalanced in favour of the latter. Last but not least, the marked thickness of the column drums, the excessively flared capitals which almost seem flattened, and the unusual width of the interior corridors all point to the archaic character of the building. Near the temple, opposite the entrance, you can see the remains of the monumental rectangular altar of sacrifices. It featured a flight of steps facing the front of the temple and a terrace at the top, and was used for animal sacrifices to the gods. Unfortunately, it was ruined by a deep cut with 2 parallel grooves on the bottom, probably housing a water conduit.
This temple was absolutely massive. I mean huge, the size of a football field. All of the construction stones were laying around the outside where they'd fallen. Presumably that's from tectonic action, earthquakes. But for 2.5, nearly 3,000 years old, they were in incredible condition. One of the amazing things about this historic park, Valley of the Temples, is that you can get up close and personal with everything. There's a few wooden barriers in front of some of the artifacts and some of the buildings, but you can actually walk amongst them. It's like walking through history. It really is amazing. Yeah, these bits here have been mounted on these blocks, and they were up there. So they've just put them here so that you can get near them, I guess. You see the square keyways cut in the... That's how they locked them together. And that's the remains of the altar, that bit there, and the temple is behind the altar, and that's what's left there. Apparently the biggest temple in the ancient world, big as a football pitch. Amazing. Find it absolutely amazing that after 2,500 plus years these stones are still standing, and these are the upright stones from the temple altar. The temple is immediately behind us. Again, that's massive. We'll show you some pictures of that in a minute. stone telements are believed to be carved images of the enemies that were defeated by the people that lived at the temples or in the city there. They were used to support the temples, and in that way they believed that their defeats would be permanently recorded in stone and help to support the temples and indeed the city. At this point it's important to remember that all of these cuts, slots, square holes, grooves and even the decoration were all carved using bronze or copper alloy cutting instruments. The only iron that was about in these times was that fell from the sky, and this was highly prized and not used for work tools. He looks like the rock man out of Lord of the Rings. Remember? It's beautiful here. If you get the chance to come here, you know, it is absolutely astounding. More ruins here. And another temple. And a round one.
It says it's 6 until 2nd century AD.
Blimey.
Quite a big ant. Yeah.
No need for that, was there? Watch out for low flying lemons and oranges.
Well, oranges here. Hang on, I've got to get demasked. Put my glasses on.
I think that's the end of the road.
Then back. Can't be that big.
The bathing pool has long since gone, but the garden still produces artichokes, almonds, oranges, lemons and olives, as well as other fruits. 2,500 years ago that was carved out. These last sections of video were filmed on our iPhone 7. Unfortunately our big camera was having problems with autofocusing and of course the inevitable flat battery. This is probably the biggest video editing job we've ever done. We arrived and started filming around 10 o'clock in the morning. We didn't leave until just gone 2. We had over 150 gigabytes of 4K footage. These shafts and pools that you see here are part of the original 2,000 year plus irrigation system. When was that? You said 500 BC?
I think it's, yeah. Trenches held well.
I
don't well.
Yeah.
Approaching 3,000 years.
There's your sacrificial tools.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a mattock tree. If you sail to Sicily, This is absolutely a must. Don't miss it.